All right, let's take a look at how a nervous impulse actually gets transmitted along this axon here. And this can get really complex. I could just give you the steps. You could just take a look at it, memorize it. But I have a little story that goes along with this. You all know Romeo and Juliet, right? The two famous families were called the Montagues and Capulets. But for the purpose of this story, I'm going to change things a little bit, and it's going to be the Nantagues with an N-A, Nantagues, and the Capulets spelled with a K. Nantagues and Capulets. So just bear with me. It's great. This is great. So here you have the two families. Oops, two families. We're going to leave that over here for a second. Two families. Here's a whole bunch of the Nantagues out here. Okay, the Nantagues are getting nasty. The Capulets are in here. The house here is where the Capulets live. The Capulets are in here. And yeah, I guess that's right. Well, what happens? What do these families want to do? Well, they want to fight each other. So actually what happens is these Nantagues come and they build these little ladders here. Or they punch little holes. And then they start climbing. And they all just like start rushing in. Okay? Rushing in. Boom, boom, boom. Rushing in. I'm gonna... There we go. And they all are in. A whole bunch of them are in. You have questions for me? Okay. Okay, shh. I'm recording.
Hello.
The Nantagues all rush in, and all of a sudden you have a big change. So what happens as soon as the Nantagues rush in? Well, people aren't happy and they win, okay? And what happens is the Capulets get pushed out. So the Capulets, this is silly, but they have to build their own little doors, and all the Capulets rush out. They rush out through these doors one at a time. Right. Just like that. Just like that. Oh. Okay, and that's basically the game that they play. And then when they're all done, they're like, hey, that was a lot of fun. So let's do it again. So they actually work together as a team and they build these little kind of merry-go-rounds. This is like a little transporter. And they hop on here, and it's just a little game. So three of them jump here, and they go, yay! And then two of them jump over here, and then this whole thing spins around. How can I model that? This whole thing spins around. Oops, kind of like that. And they actually, like spinning around, it actually moves them back into their original spots. So take a look at that. So these guys all come back through this little spinny thing, come back in, come back in, come back in, come back in. And all of these guys are all back out. Oops, again. So that's basically the story. The story, just let me repeat it again in like 2 seconds. All the Capulets are in here, all the Nantagues are out here. They all come in, and in order for them to come in, they have to build these little doors. They come in. What happens after they come in? Then they all go out after building these doors, and then they all go back to the same place they were by using this little merry-go-round. Alright, so what does all this mean? Well, the Nantagues actually represent Na. That's sodium, Na. Na plus, these are sodium ions over here. In here are K. K plus stands for potassium ions. These are just sodium channels, and these are potassium channels, hence the color. And then in the end, the little merry-go-round thing is called a sodium-potassium pump. And the number that I used was actually accurate. 3 sodiums get exchanged for 2 potassium ions. The reasons for that are a little more complicated. We don't have to really get into that, but just know everything gets reset in the end as a result of things getting moved back and forth.